This is gonna seem really far-fetched, but I'm gonna let you be the judge. So you know exactly what you want. A creative business that gives you real freedom on your terms. You want to stop shrinking your interests down to fit someone else's idea of success or niche and actually merge everything you are into something that works. Now you can see it, but you just can't seem to start it. And the reason might not be what you think. So a couple of weekends ago, my husband and I were watching that new Netflix movie that came out called War Machine. And there was one line in that movie that completely had me like reaching for my phone and putting in my notes. And I was like, oh my gosh, this quote is super resonating with me. I don't know why, but I'm gonna trust the process and just put it in my phone. And that was at a point in the movie where the commander was looking at the main character, which is a soldier known as 81. And he says, if you cannot control what's inside, you cannot control what's outside. And like I said, that line immediately made me pause. And it's one of those truths I find myself repeating in almost every session with clients. Every single day is helping individuals learn how to control what's in the inside. So let's unpack how that line is so relevant to gaining clarity around your creative business. You're probably a creative, a multi-passionate person. You've got more than one interest, more than one skill, maybe more than one vision of the life you want to build. And the world keeps telling you to pick one. Niche down, specialize, be clean, be simple, be predictable, or whatever the world seems to be telling you. And the more you try to force yourself into that box, the more anxious, the more foggy, and creatively paralyzed you become. And it doesn't mean you're lazy, it doesn't mean you're scattered. You're fighting an internal war, and nobody handed you the tools to win it. Now, this is where 81's story becomes so relevant. It's a perfect mirror of what's happening inside your mind. So let me tell you about 81. War Machine is an action sci-fi movie. Alan Ritchson plays 81, a ranger candidate who's physically an absolute machine. But internally, he's a wreck. He's haunted by the death of his brother and drowning in survivor's guilt. He refuses to lead, refuses to connect, and tries to hold himself together through sheer physical force, like white-knuckling everything. Because he hasn't dealt with what's inside, he becomes a liability on the outside, and his squad is being hunted by some massive high-tech alien killing machine. And 81, the strongest person in the group, can barely function as a leader. But here's the thing, I believe that the alien machine was designed to predict standard. So that's textbook military tactics. Clean, linear, by-the-book maneuvers, and those tactics failed completely. Why? Because that machine couldn't calculate mess, and it definitely couldn't predict things like grief. It couldn't account for non-linear, traumatic human past. And spoiler, I'm sorry, 81's big breakthrough, the moment he defeats the machine, comes from a very human, a very personal memory of his brother. Not a tactic, not a protocol, a memory. A detailed one only he could know. And it was what was said in that conversation that helped him kill this alien thingamabobber. So just think about this for a second, because this is something I want all creatives, all multi-passionates to know. What you think is your mess is actually your gift. The tools are already there. You have all the tools that you need. And if you don't, you have the tools in there inside you that can help identify the very next step to take in order to add a new skill or to refine one that you already have. So now let's just bring this back to your life. You don't need to heal from battlefield trauma, but you do need to reflect on something, because clarity has a real hard time showing up in a very cluttered mind. And often the solution is already near you. You just can't see it. But here's something to keep in mind if it's helpful. You know, I even have a client, of course I won't reveal identifying information, so I'll just change certain things about this client. So when he was little, he would go to the library, take out as many books as he can, and he would go home and lock himself in his room and read for as long as he can. It was his way of keeping safe in his own home. Now fast forward to this day, and it was that memory that gave him the desire, that gave him the inspiration to write his first book. Even for myself, personal experience, years and years and years, I was always like, what do I gotta do? What's right? What's gonna make money? What's this? What's that? Always constantly looking on the outside, never looking at those memories that were really meaningful to me in my life. And I'm so glad I did, because that is one of the main pieces in my Anchor and Toybox career model that I use to start my own aligned creative business. Now, if you've already watched a few of my videos, you are probably sick of me saying this. And if you've really been struggling identifying an aligned business as a creative or multi-passionate, consider reaching out to a therapist and explore parts of your identity. Get to know yourself, especially in the context of career. And even more specifically, maybe even a career counselor. And no, I'm not just saying this because I'm hoping someone's gonna be like, oh, Crystal, can I do therapy with you? And I wouldn't even be able to because my schedule is already full. And your medical insurance might even cover your session. Or I would even say, at the very least, work with a very reputable life coach who has testimonials of them being able to help other individuals discover aligned businesses. As always, I hope this video was helpful in helping you gain clarity on your aligned creative business.